the World Wide Web for themselves, and for it to become part of their systems of working. An example of this being somebody saying, well, I don't know how to use a content management system. Well, in actual fact, in the very near future, the use of various content management systems to upload content will be as standard as opening Excel or PowerPoint. It'll just be part of everybody's daily jobs, just as it is looking at your complete plethora of social networking activity. Well, many of the projects that we're working on at the moment are giving organisations the toolkit and training internal members of the team in how to embrace the medium. Because as part of Groundswell's ultimate philosophy, it has to come from the heart and from the organisation. Now, Groundswell is based on a number of principles. First of all, people. We create, it's a Roger word, it's called a clump. And a clump is a three-dimensional persona made up of socioeconomic profiling, behavioural, attitudinal, and any purchase or financial data. So we mash both quantitative and qualitative data together to create clumps. Because we need to identify who your current commitment base is, but also, with the example that we're going to go through this afternoon with Compassion and Rural Farming, who they wanted to reach. So that in itself is a dichotomy. As soon as we've identified who the people are, then we need to identify a clear set of objectives. We're marketing by numbers. I come from a data background, I'm a geek, I like measuring absolutely everything. So unless I have a set of goals in place, or we have a set of goals in place, then we're not able to do our jobs properly. So we set in advance the outcomes or the results that we're requiring, and we set up a set of metrics in order to do that. That may be a dashboard, it may be a number of methods. The tactics that we're going to go through this afternoon is, rather than going to the expense of going to AC Nielsen BuzzStats or a large expensive set, we pulled together a set of free internet measuring tools, and are using them with our intelligence to come back with innovation for the client. Now, activation. It's understanding how we're going to take this to market with the sensitivity involved. And I'll butt into that section when we're going through it, because there's no point in going in ham-fisted. This has to be done with sensitivity and an intelligence. This isn't a one-way dialogue, a one-way monologue. This is a dialogue, and also something you can't pay lip service to. One of the main elements of Groundswell is that an organisation must wholly embrace the tactics and the mechanics and live with them thereafter. It isn't something that is typically just project-based. It is something that you must have as a long term. Because just as your, I don't know how you do it, just as your media buying agency, your planning agency, look at your TV, radio, ads, etc., media space, we also exist in this space, this came out of Deconstruct, which was a social networking forum in Brighton last October, and this is the best creative articulation of our space. So you can see here, there's blog, there's content, there's aggregation. So we will look at both the people, the objectives, the activity that we want, or the activity that we want to do, the content that we want to procreate, and only then will we look at the technology. The message must drive the marketing. The technology can't be the driver. Wrong way around. Ultimately, you must, as has been reinforced throughout this whole day, is because we're working in a digital medium, we're able to measure everything, we're able to take that measurement, add intelligence, and then innovate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through a live example, and I'll hand over to Beth, we're dealing with this from a social media perspective.
Okay, hi, we've got Compassion World Farming over here, so we're going to talk about your project. Compassion World Farming, we're already doing quite a bit with YouTube, and you're already on Twitter, things like that, but they came to us to ask how they could optimise what they were already doing and any new ideas. So what we started off with doing was coming up with the personas of what Russ called slumps, of who their target audience was. And it wasn't who they already had, it was who they were going for. Once we got those personas, we came up with keywords that we thought would associate to those people. So we had a persona like a foodie or an earth guardian, and then a keyword would be something like organic. So then to find out where these people were online, we were putting these keywords into various specific search engines, trying where people were talking about those topics. This is a Google trend and insight. They're two similar tools. This one's Insight, and it sort of helps us to figure out what people were talking about at the moment, so that we were using the right keywords. Technorati, does everyone know about Technorati? It's a blog aggregator, and they also measure the authority of blogs, and I think there's 50 million blogs tracked and registered on Technorati. The authority figure is a measure of how many people are linking to that blog in the last 6 months, so it's like a live active number of how important it is currently. And it generally gives an indication of how big the readership is, how important it is, and how well respected it is. So if we put organic in here, and it tells us which are the most important blogs that are talking about that topic. It also gives you an indication of whether that topic is relevant at the moment. And it gives you all the relevant keywords as well, to give you more ideas. This is Compassion World Farming's Facebook page. They're already doing pretty well. They've got lots of content on there. They've got nearly 3,000 fans. A couple of the things that we propose to them to optimise it is things like in the discussions, making sure that people are always responded to. They've got fan photos that their fans have uploaded themselves.